Have you ever been driving along, just sipping your morning coffee, and then suddenly you see it?
Right. Something that just doesn't belong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not a deer, not a pothole, but a vehicle that looks like it, I don't know, escaped from a film set. Maybe it's this massive custom-built art car.
Or a street legal go-kart, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah. That moment of surprise when you see something so unexpected on what should be a predictable road. It can be genuinely unsettling. Okay, so let's unpack this. We're diving deep into the unique challenge presented by road hazards from unusual and non-standard vehicles.
And it's a tricky area. It really is. The whole traffic system is built on standardization.
We assume every vehicle accelerates, brakes, and maneuvers in a predictable way.
Exactly. And when you throw that standardization out the window, that's where the hazard begins. The core problem isn't just that they look different, it's that they introduce these immediate, unpredictable risks.
Irregular behavior, sudden movements.
And a complete lack of familiarity for everyone else on the road. Many of these rides, especially the homemade ones, they just don't meet fundamental safety regulations.
For visibility or impact protection, I'm guessing.
For sure. And that significantly increases the danger, not just for their driver, but for you.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to equip you with practical, actionable knowledge from our sources. We have to go beyond just drive safely and figure out precisely how to recognize, anticipate, and respond to these unique rides.
And maximize your safety while understanding the gaps, mechanical and regulatory, that make them hazardous in the first place.
So let's start by defining the perimeter. What are we actually talking about when we say unusual vehicle?
It's a pretty broad category.
Right. Our sources break it down. You have the totally DIY creations, like those custom-built go-karts or eccentric art cars.
Right. Then you have things like off-road ATVs and dirt bikes being used illegally on public streets.
And those highly specialized, sometimes legally questionable modifications of motorcycles or cars.
Yeah.
Like extreme trikes that are scraping the pavement.
And the immediate physical dangers, they all stem from that non-standard nature. They often lack critical safety features we just take for granted.
What are we talking about? Like mirrors?
We're talking missing basics. Inadequate mirrors, for sure. Proper side or rear lighting. Sometimes even official standard-size license plates that are actually visible. And even more concerning is the structural integrity.
Oh, yeah.
They often lack crumple zones, mandated airbags, rollover protection systems. If you have an impact with a vehicle built out of, say, modified scrap metal,
The physics are just totally different.
fundamentally different, and far less protective than an impact with a mass-produced, crash-tested car.
So why this is so dangerous for you, the standard driver, it really comes down to expectation versus reality, doesn't it?
That's it, exactly. We rely on predicting what the car in front of us will do based on its size and its class.
And with these things, the size, the speed, the structure, they differ so much that your brain struggles to calculate things like stopping distance or lane position.
That cognitive difference creates what you could call a perception gap.
And that gap increases accident risk, especially in high-speed or, low visibility situations.
Think about the difference in profile. A low-slung custom go-kart might sit only 3 feet off the ground.
Which means it's basically invisible.
Invisible in the blind spots of trucks, SUVs, even standard sedans. It's not just about their visibility, it's about your inability to even register their presence until it's way too late.
Okay, so that brings us to the crucial part.
Yeah.
What do you actually do when you spot one of these odd vehicles in traffic?
The what now moment.
Right, we're moving from the technical risk analysis to a specific defensive driving playbook.
And the sources are clear. Proactive strategies are absolutely non-negotiable here. The first rule is hypervigilance.
So active scanning.
Active scanning for what the sources call non-standard visual cues. Look for those distinctive features. Unusual track width, maybe erratic lighting, a high center of gravity.
Because those are clues.
They're clues to the handling characteristics. If a vehicle has a really narrow wheelbase, you have to anticipate that it's going to be unstable, especially when cornering. And this leads right to the second rule, distance. But with a specific technical warning, you have to massively increase your following distance.
More than the standard 2 or 3 seconds.
Way more. If you're behind a vehicle with non-standard modifications, especially to the drivetrain or suspension, they might have vastly different braking patterns.
Asymmetrical braking or something.
Or brakes that just lock up way more easily. If you usually leave a 2-second gap, you might need a 4 or 5-second gap to safely react.
And adapting your speed is critical, especially when you're passing or merging. I was surprised the sources specifically highlighted intersections and tight turns.
Well, makes sense.
Why is that?
Because the articulation point of a custom long vehicle or the tiny turning radius of a small modified one means their path through an intersection is completely unpredictable. You might expect them to turn wide, but they could turn incredibly tight, or vice versa.
Okay, let's delve into some other crucial safety points. First, reevaluating your own blind spots.
This is a huge one. If the vehicle is unusually large, like a custom Class A motorhome, its blind spots are enormous and they're dynamic.
But if it's unusually small, like an autocycle,
Then your standard blind spot, the one you check before changing lanes, will swallow it whole. You have to adjust your mirrors and physically scan much further than usual.
okay, what's second?
The distraction hazard.
Ah, the rubbernecking factor.
Exactly. You might be watching the road, but the driver next to you is gawking at the 15-foot unicorn sculpture on the art car's hood.
So the novelty itself is a hazard.
It's a public safety hazard. It draws attention away from the general flow of traffic. So be prepared not just for what the unusual vehicle does, but for what the distracted drivers around it might do.
And patience. Patience is your shield here. Use your signals clearly. Avoid any aggressive action.
Absolutely. Don't honk just because the custom trike is going slower than you like. Give them time, give them space. They're often difficult to see and hear.
Right. And finally, you have to layer in the weather factor.
Oh, yeah. Adverse weather, rain, snow, fog. It compromises standard handling and visibility for everyone.
But for a vehicle with, say, non-standard tires or unsealed electrical components,
The compromise is exponentially worse. If it's raining, you must extend your following distance even further. Recognizing their ability to stop or corner is already way below standard.
so if we connect all this to the bigger picture, we have to talk about the regulations.
Right. The legal framework.
You see a rickety homemade car, and it's easy to assume it's just flat out illegal. But it's more nuanced than that.
It's far more nuanced. Many states actually have specific classes for specially constructed vehicles. The law generally targets non-compliance, not the novelty itself.
So what's actually prohibited?
Generally, it's vehicles that are unregistered, uninsured, or non-compliant with basic standards. So failing emissions, having faulty brakes or broken lights, or improper mods that violate safety standards. The rules are designed to keep inherently dangerous equipment off the roads.
Like ATVs and dirt bikes.
Exactly. They are overwhelmingly restricted to off-road use because they lack critical features for highway safety turn signals, horns, mirrors, the right kind of tires.
Okay, but what if an unusual vehicle is legal? What's the baseline it has to meet?
The sources are clear on this. General requirements start with verifiable vehicle certification, registration, and proper driver licensing.
Then you get into the specifics.
Visibility is non-negotiable. Functioning headlights, taillights, turn signals, required reflectors, and adequate standard-sized mirrors. This is a huge hurdle for custom builds.
And what about the structure?
They must have reliable braking systems, including a parking brake and structural integrity that meets minimum safety tolerances. For cars, this often means proving the frame can withstand certain impacts.
Without just collapsing on the people inside.
Right. And this is where it gets really complex for custom builds. Meeting the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, the FMVSS, for occupant protection. That's incredibly difficult without professional engineering.
Things like seatbelts and airbags.
Functioning seatbelts, head restraints, side impact resistance. Even specialized work vehicles, like modern tractors, often have rollover protection systems built in because of the unique hazards they face.
What stands out to me is the sheer variety of legally recognized unusual vehicles.
Oh,
It goes way beyond the DIY stuff.
it does.
The sources highlight specialized categories. You have three-wheeled vehicles, which includes autocycles and traditional trikes.
And they're not the same thing legally.
No. An autocycle might have side-by-side seating and a steering wheel, but be classified as a motorcycle in many states. That affects helmet laws, lane usage, all of it.
Then you have neighborhood electric vehicles, or NEVs.
Right, which are speed limited, usually to 25 or 35 miles per hour. That makes them a huge congestion and rear-end risk on faster roads.
And we can't forget the truly massive vehicles. Class A motorhomes, specialized work vehicles like cranes or agricultural tractors, they impact road safety in a completely different way.
So this variety creates this complex mix of impacts.
A mosaic, yeah. On the positive side, new vehicle types can force innovation. Modern electric autocycles, or NEVs for example, often have advanced driver assistance systems.
Which could eventually influence broader safety regulations.
Exactly.
But the negative impacts are what drivers feel immediately. Unpredictable movements, misjudgment by other drivers, and these huge static blind spots.
Especially with articulated or custom long vehicles, if you don't know where the pivot point of a long custom trailer is, you can easily misjudge and overtake.
And there's an economic cost here too, right, with traffic flow.
For sure, slow-moving vehicles, like those big farm machines, cause serious traffic buildup. That increases the risk of rear-end collisions. Large, wide vehicles create bottlenecks.
And those frequent stops from utility or delivery vehicles interrupt the whole rhythm of traffic.
And the cumulative effect is not just increased accident risk, but also greater infrastructure strain. The wear and tear on roads and bridges from heavier, spiralized loads.
So boiling it all down, what does this all mean for you, the driver?
The ultimate takeaway is that defensive driving around these unique vehicles requires vigilance, not panic.
It's about proactive adaptation.
It is. It demands that you maintain distance and adapt your behavior, recognizing that your standard assumptions about braking and maneuvering are probably invalid.
Familiarity with what could be wrong with their mechanics and understanding their unique needs is your best defense.
And we can't stress this enough. Know your local context. Regulations for these vehicles vary widely by state, even by county.
So do your work.
Do your homework. And if you see a vehicle that is demonstrably unsafe, no working taillights, dangerously overflowing its lane, don't hesitate to report it. That's a crucial step in maintaining our collective road safety.
We spend a lot of time talking about how regulations are always trying to catch up with custom and experimental vehicles. We know that introducing new, unusual vehicle types can lead to incredible innovation, better materials, new safety features.
But for them to be tested legally, they often have to pass through these experimental and prototype phases, sharing public roads with the rest of us.
Which raises an important question for you to mull over. How do we successfully balance fostering the cutting-edge innovation represented by these unique and experimental vehicles, which might fundamentally reshape transport in the future, with the immediate, uncompromising, non-negotiable need to maintain road safety standards for everyone sharing the pavement today?
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.